evening and welcome to Gay Newsbreak. I'm John Beebe. Well, it was a busy week in the community this week in Oklahoma City, and our cameras were mostly everywhere. We want to start off by showing you some video of a fundraiser for the AIDS Walk that was at the Copa. They had an employee turnabout show, and our video cameras were there. Well, this event took place last Wednesday night at the Copa, as I said earlier, and raised over $1,000 for the AIDS Walk. As you can see there is the famous Leona, and she's talking about the AIDS Walk T-shirt that is available. I believe they sold those for $15 a piece. And then we have another female impersonator there. I'm not quite sure who that is, but as you can see, we had many that appeared that evening and raised a lot of money there at the Copa for the AIDS Walk. We also had Kay Holiday. That we had our cameras there during the AIDS Walk this past Sunday afternoon. It was a tremendous success, and Kay Holiday was there.
And that's the reason we're here. We need to keep this in the minds of everybody that this disease is not over till it's over. We're also here to remember those who we've lost to this disease. Not a person in this amphitheater hasn't been touched by the HIV and AIDS, and we are so grateful that you're here. The third reason we're here is to raise lots of money for the AIDS Service Organization. For the AIDS Service Organizations who do so much to deliver services with our folks who are living with HIV. And you all are just absolutely to be patted on the back, so we're just thrilled you're here. Thank you very much.
As you can see, it was a beautiful day for the AIDS Walk this past Sunday, and everybody came out in full force and had the banners and all their friends and relatives coming out, and the children were there as well, and just a fantastic day for an AIDS Walk. There's somebody brought their own dog. And again, it's incredible because in that one day, I believe I was told that they raised over $25,000 just in that one day. There they are going into the Bricktown Ballpark, which I'm sure was a thrill for everybody to be able to go down and see that. And again, just lots of people filing by and in and out of the ballpark there, around the Mickey Mantle statue that was dedicated when the ballpark was opened up, wearing their AIDS Walk T-shirts, beautifully designed. And we had a choir after that at the Botanical Gardens, the men's chorus. And again, fantastic, just wonderful a day for the fundraiser, or for the AIDS Walk, raising $25,000 just in that one day. I also want to let everybody know that the Friends of the Hilo had a great fundraiser last Saturday night, and those guys, they raised a lot of money. I'll tell you what, they had a raffle, and in that raffle they raised over $2,500 just in the raffle alone, and then another $2,500, excuse me, in tips and donations. So all in all, the Friends of the Hilo last Saturday night raised $5,000. So our hats off to the people at the Hilo, to the Friends of the Hilo. Did a great job, and we appreciate everything that you did, and we're sorry we couldn't get our cameras there because there was so much going on, but we'll get you next time. Also, want to make sure that everyone knows that they are still counting the money for the Halloween party that Off AIDS had in Leadership Square, downtown Oklahoma City. And as soon as we get that amount counted, we'll get that to you next week. And want to let everyone know that all in all, for the AIDS Walk, for the community, there was over $40,000 raised for distribution to be given out into the community. So just a fantastic job all in all. We're really proud of all of them.
Didn't understand my girlfriends growing up. I'm in love, and it was a different guy every 3 weeks. I didn't understand that.
The safest form of sex is no sex.
People will tell you, everybody's doing it. Well, then you'll have no problem finding somebody else to do it with them, will you? I don't look back and regret ever not taking up an opportunity of sleeping with someone.
No sex. Secondary virginity is what I practice, which means I've had sex in the past, and now I've stopped. The next time I will have sex will be when I get married.
Respect yourself. Protect yourself.
Good night, honey.
Good night, Mommy.
Good night, sweetheart.
Good night, Liza.
Linda Carrera of Baltimore, Maryland, was crowned the new Miss Gay America 1999 this past Sunday night in Discovery in Little Rock, Arkansas. Oklahoma contestants competed in the annual pageant. They made a strong showing. Tulsa Katia Lee Love, last year's Miss Gay Oklahoma, was second runner-up. Katia also won the interview category for her group. Rochelle Lee, our current Miss Gay Oklahoma, won the interview category for her group as well. Now, out of 63 contestants from across the country, Bridget Lee, the first runner-up to Miss Gay Oklahoma, finished 11th overall, just one place away from a top 10 slot. Our congratulations to all for representing Oklahoma so well, and many congratulations to Linda Carrera, the new Miss Gay America 1999. She'll do a fantastic job. And we've got Desmond up with the health news. Desmond.
John, I'd like to take just a couple of minutes to say thanks to a few people, friends and viewers of Gay News Break. Brock from the U.S. Postal Service, thank you for your nice comments and your support. To a couple of people who called our talkback line with suggestions on how we can improve our programming, Jacob and Sam, thank you very much. We do appreciate your input. A couple of people whom I've met on AOL, Howdy All and Sassy Boy. Thanks for your comments and your input as well. Howdy all, we're working on one of your suggestions now. And I want to extend a special thanks to the gentleman whose name I don't know that pulled me aside while at the candlelight vigil for Matthew Shepard. Your kind words are very much appreciated, and thank you generously for sharing with me your own experience with gay bashing. And to everyone else who watches the show and who comes up to us in public, keep watching, keep talking, we're always listening. John, at the end of every show, encourages your comments by calling our talkback line. Your continued input is very valuable. Now for some health news. The pharmaceutical company GlaxoWellcome has submitted a new drug application to the FDA for its protease inhibitor, Amprenavir. The drug has shown to lower the HIV viral load to undetectable levels in 65 out of 74 patients in a 4-month period when used in combination regimens. An early access program was cleared for the drug last month. In Soweto, South Africa, the newspaper there says that 1/3 of the children born at the main hospital in the region are infected with HIV. Dr. Glenda Gray of Chris Hani Baraganath Hospital was quoted as saying that 1,200 HIV-positive babies have been delivered at the hospital since January. The newspaper also included estimates that there will be 3.5 million HIV-infected people in South Africa by the end of this year. Scientists from the Institute of Viral Pathogenesis in Milwaukee say they found evidence that multiple sclerosis may be associated with a form of the herpes virus. They found the human herpes virus 6 in the brains of 8 out of 11 multiple sclerosis patients. HHV6 was also detected in the blood of 14 out of 25 patients. Well, flu season is rapidly approaching, and the Oklahoma City County Health Department will be ending its flu vaccine program within the next couple of weeks. Flu shots are being offered at various sites in the metropolitan area and at the health department, and they're free to anyone who is over the age of 65 and to those who have chronic health problems, including people who are immunosuppressed. Because of the limited supply of vaccine available this year, only those who are considered at high risk may receive the shots. Vaccinations will be given tomorrow between 10 a.m. and 1 at the Pennsylvania Avenue Nazarene Church, located at 1121 North Penn, and at the Community Action Center at 1621 Southwest 15th. For more information on locations where you can get your flu shot, call the City County Health Department at 427-8651. And that wraps it up for this week's health news. Back to you, John.
Thank you, Desmond. We'll be right back with Inside Out. Stay with us.
It would be nice if latex condoms were automatic. But since they're not, using them should be. Simply because a latex condom used consistently and correctly will prevent the spread of HIV.
It's not going to happen to me.
Not gonna happen. Not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen to me.
I was really shocked when I found out I was infected. I didn't think anything like this could ever happen to me.
Only certain
People get it. I'm a good example that you can get AIDS from heterosexual sex. Who cares?
I'm trying to make the best of the time that I have left, because realistically, I really don't know how much time that is.
You could be putting yourself at risk. Call 1-800-342-AIDS.
Welcome to Inside Out. Our guest this week is Paul Thompson, the male co-chair to the Oklahoma Gay and Lesbian Political Caucus. And Paul, welcome back. It's been a while.
Thank you. Yes, it has been a while. Been busy.
Well, good. We've got a lot to talk about. We've got some elections coming up on the 2nd of November that we need everybody to go out and vote on.
3rd of November.
Or 3rd of November.
Right, okay.
Thank you.
Tuesday, November 3rd.
We need everybody to get out there and vote. And why is it important for all of us to get out there and vote this time especially?
This election is really going to be taken by people, whoever end up in power, as the mandate for what they need to do. And if the people who self-style themselves as conservatives stay in power, they will take it to mean that they don't have to be concerned at all about human rights or any of the attached issues, any minorities or anything. And if we are able to turn things around, which I think and hope we can, then people will have to start listening about minority things, human rights, and a lot of other real human issues that need to be paid attention to.
Well, we always have, we talked about last time, the rankings that you all put out and everything, and I got a mailer myself the other day with the rankings. Let's talk about those rankings.
OGLPC surveys several hundred politicians, and we got the most survey returns that we have, plus the fact that we also do have ratings for candidates who did not return the surveys, but we know what their track record is, either from public statements or from their voting records in the past. And so I think this is very informative. We mail that out free of charge. It's not too late if people call our voicemail to get a copy of it now. And it's perfectly legal to take those into the voting booth with you, and many people do that. When we were doing voter registration, there were a lot of people who had never registered to vote before, who all of a sudden, when they found out that they didn't have to try to figure it out all by themselves, were glad to register and glad to go vote. And so we think it's terribly important that people go vote this election, this time, right now.
I think it's a great aid for people who do not realize, who they need to get out there and vote for, and I think that really aids them quite a bit.
And I think it gets very confusing if you watch all the Republican ads on TV. The things they're taking credit for are actually the Clinton-Gore agenda. So political ads, if you don't know something else, are not a good indicator of who to vote for.
Do you feel, with all the controversy that's happened with President Clinton this year, is going to affect the Democrats overall?
Well, one, I hope not, and two, I think people need to understand that this is really not about President Clinton, and it really is not about sexuality, that it is about that the people who call themselves conservatives would do anything to overturn the results of the last elections and try to run things.
I see. Let's talk about Governor Keating.
Yes.
I understand he's got some support.
Yes, there was an article in the Daily Disappointment, and I don't actually read the Daily Disappointment very much, but a good friend of mine gave me a copy of the article, and he has gotten the absolute fawning support of the Ku Klux Klan and the white separatist groups, and they say that they think he's a closet racist. I'm also on the board of the NAACP. We don't think he was in the closet. We think he's been a racist all along.
Now I want to get some specifics here. What specifically is the KKK saying about Governor Keating?
They're saying that they think it's absolutely wonderful that he's had one of the lowest appointments records of blacks to any high office, any boards, commissions, policy-making boards, et cetera, et cetera. He has the very lowest number of blacks in his, what you might call, cabinet of any governor in years. He has persecuted the people who live across the street from the governor's mansion. He has the educator in Tulsa that he has attacked is a black man. Only education leaders that he's attacked have been black. So there's a very, very consistent thing. And I think we must understand that the KKK may be out kicking blacks at this minute, but they are just as likely to turn around and kick or bomb gay people, women's clinics, etc. So it's not like, well, if they don't get anybody but the blacks, we shouldn't be worried about it.
Sure, we have just as much to worry about.
Because they'll be after us next.
What do you think about Laura Boyd's impact on the governor's race this year?
I hope that, for one thing, I think if people really will get out and vote, I think she's got a very good chance to win. I think Governor Keating is running more scared than his ads would say. And I hope and think that there are a lot of people who are taking the issues really seriously this time and are really going to think about the issues and not just listen to. And certainly, it's plenty of time in Oklahoma that we had a woman governor.
I agree, absolutely, absolutely. What do you think about the debate they had?
I think the debate was good. I thought the part with Hoppy Heidelberg was at least interesting.
They keep showing that nightly on the news over and over again.
I think Laura Boyd did very well. I think Governor Keating, if he managed to even get through something like that, it's pretty amazing, but without saying something incredibly stupid, because he says incredibly stupid things all the time. And if it was Bill Clinton, the press would be having a field day with the things he says.
Sure. Well, Paul, we appreciate you being on the show again, and we're going to be having you again in the next 4 weeks, I believe, as well soon. And these encourage all of you all. The mailers just went out not too long ago. I got one myself that has some rankings for all the candidates and all the different categories. And we urge all of you that if you're not sure about your candidates, take this with you. It's a big help.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
All right. We'll be right back after this message with Chuck and the entertainment news. Stay with us.
I've taught my kids just the way my mama taught me. She gave me a strong sense about what's right. She called it mother wit. Even as young as my kids are, they know their way around. And they're well aware I can draw the line if I have to. But with AIDS out there, I'm going to have to dig a little deeper and talk a little longer about drugs, sex, and AIDS.
We can help you talk about AIDS. For a free guide, call 1-800-342-AIDS.
I was scared to take the HIV test. I knew once I did, there was no turning back. Now that I know, though, I can go on about my life. Make some goals. I'm working hard to stay healthy. Think about going back to school. Now I'm motivated to do the things I've always wanted to do. Life seems so much more important now.
For information on the prevention and treatment of HIV, call 1-800-342-AIDS.
Good evening, I'm Chuck Jones with tonight's entertainment news. Long before Bryan Singer's new thriller, Apt Pupil, opened this last weekend, it had already stirred up some feathers due to the filming of a shower scene in which underage boys were allegedly seen naked without their parents' permission. Although the Los Angeles District Attorney has declined to file charges, an organization representing some of the teenage boys staged a news conference this last Thursday to demand that the Screen Actors Guild do something on the children's behalf. And attention all you Barbra Streisand fans out there, and I know there may be a few, Babs is going to be online this coming Monday, November 2nd. Her purpose? She wants to encourage everyone to vote November 3rd. Streisand, who has been a longtime supporter of President Clinton, believes that this election could be one of the most important in history. She was quoted to have said that she believes in the American people and that they are wise enough to make the right decision. Well, if you've always dreamed about speaking to Barbara, now's your chance. She will be online Monday night between 5 and 6 for about half an hour, and the internet address will be www.aol.com. And a bit of really good news, it looks like Will and Grace is NBC's first new series to get picked up for the full season. If you haven't seen it, you must see this show. It airs Monday night at 8:30. John?
Chuck, I am going to get that email address from you because I am one of the biggest Barbra Streisand fans out there. And I think that Will and Grace show does quite well because the show is a show, yes, he's gay and she's straight, but yet it's not a gay show or it's not necessarily a straight show. So I'm glad to see that that's working out real well. Well, we have Robert Caldwell with us for this week's Insight. Robert, always a pleasure to have you with us.
Nice to be here.
What do you have for us tonight?
We're going to talk about getting out and voting and the simple process that it takes in order for you to vote. Good evening. With Election 98 underway, now is the perfect time to talk with your family, friends, and neighbors about our right and obligation to vote. Talking with people in the community here, there are three most popular answers I've gotten to the question of why don't you vote? The number one answer is I'm not registered. Number two is I don't know where the candidate stands on the issues. And of course, number three is one vote will not make a difference. You can register to vote at your local library, local school, or tag agency in your area. 2 forms of ID are required along with proof of residence. And if you have a question on where your candidate stands on civil rights for gays and lesbians, home health care, education, or any public issue, you can call 1-888-VOTE-SMART. That's 1-888-868-3767. Or you can reach them on the World Wide Web at www.votesmart.org. Project VoteSmart was started in 1982 and is designed to help voters gain a better understanding of a candidate's platform and voting record. Voting is your voice to Washington and to the world. If the candidate you vote for wins, your vote will tell your newly elected official that he's under a mandate to address the issues and concerns of you, the voter. Don't let politics get you down. Register, examine the facts, and vote your heart, not necessarily your party. For change to occur, action is the road to fulfillment. So vote, vote, vote.
Very good, Robert. I think a lot of people feel in just any general election that their one vote just doesn't matter. It's not going to count. It's not going to be important to vote. And especially in the gay community, if we all get registered, if we all get out and
exactly.
vote, we can speak loudly and get some things changed and done around here. So we really encourage all of you all to...
Very much so.
If you are registered, please vote this next Tuesday. Well, we'll be right back with some closing comments after this message, so stay with us.
Advising people how to move Congress is very easy. Getting them to follow the advice is very hard, and I get frustrated by that. I want gay men and lesbians to take the National Rifle Association as their model, or maybe the American Association of Retired Persons. Those two organizations have a great deal of influence, and you can agree or disagree with the NRA's agenda. That doesn't affect your view of how effective their methods are. You write to members of Congress and you call them, and you don't write to anybody whose name you see in the paper. You write to your representative and your senator. Members of the House and of the Senate listen to their constituents. Not 100% of the time, not on every issue, but one of the biggest impacts on us is what the constituents say. I think things are getting better. Prejudice is somewhat on the defensive, but it's got a lot of kick left. And the key will be to the gay men and lesbians and the people who love us and care for us care more about ending bigotry than the bigots care about perpetuating it. If you ask the average member of Congress today, he or she has heard more from the bigots who want to perpetuate the bigotry than from those of us who want to oppose it. And until and unless we have enough determination and discipline to reverse that, because I think we have the numbers, if we don't immobilize them, then we're not going to win.
The Employment Non-Discrimination Act, ENDA, would protect gays and lesbians from being fired, from being denied employment, from being discriminated against on the job, from being paid less for doing the same job based solely on one's sexual orientation. Contact your senators and representative and tell them to support ENDA. Get your family and friends to do the same. This is Pat Schroeder. I was one of the original co-sponsors of ENDA. Every morning, Congress opens with the Pledge of Allegiance saying liberty and justice for all. And then they work all day to keep hate alive. Remember, liberty and justice for all. What part of all don't we understand?
We want to wish everyone a safe and happy Halloween this Saturday. I hope you have a good time. And also want to show you, see, we have Chuck, Desmond, and Robert. Is that how that goes?
Yeah. I'm the one with the big ears.
Oh, where are you? You're glaring at me. I'm not on here. I fell off.
Oh, well, it doesn't surprise me.
We want to also encourage everyone to please get out next Tuesday, November 3rd, and vote. We can't tell you enough how important that is. Your vote does matter. It does count.
Take a friend with you.
Good idea.
Make sure you take a friend with you to vote. 2 votes.
And if you're not registered after this election, get registered so you can vote in the future.
That's right. And if you don't know who to vote for, call me. I'll tell you who to vote for.
Also want to encourage you all to call in on the talkback line and look at the community bulletin board, and we do appreciate your input there, because without you, we need all the help that we can get from your comments. We appreciate you calling in and appreciate you joining us tonight. We look forward to seeing you next week, and have a good week. See you next week.
Good night.
Good night.